Game over, Johnny.
You're gonna need a big approach.
So serious.
Roll out.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing the Gold. I have been looking forward to this episode for so long, and I have a special guest. Before we get started, introduce yourself, because I'm very happy to have you here.
All right. I am Adriano Caporusso. I'm a writer for Bite Size Breakdown, and I have my own YouTube channel where I talk about awards and whatever film I so choose to review.
I am Shadan. I am the awards editor. In addition to being the Chasing the Gold co-host, I am the awards editor for In Session Film. So what that means is I am responsible for the site's official awards predictions. Now, when I came on to do this role, I was super excited, and then I actually had to make my predictions, and it was the most overwhelming. I just felt so terrified, and I felt like with great power comes great responsibility type of a thing, and I overthought these predictions. So my full predictions are on the site. As Adriano and I are going to be talking, you'll see me want to make changes, so keep checking back for regular updates. If you go on In Session Film, there's a tab that says awards, and the very first thing says Oscar predictions, so that's where you'll be able to find my predictions. Before we get started, I do want to ask you about that, Adriano. What kind of Oscar prognosticator, predictor are you? Do you look at the stats and go based on that? Do you put a lot of your heart and soul into it? Is it a little bit of both? Or do you advocate for certain things? How do you view your role as an Oscar predictor?
I kind of find stats to be kind of bullshit. My whole thing is all right, Oscars and stuff are voted on by people, and yeah, they have patterns, don't get me wrong, but I hear something I remember in 22 someone was oh, Laura Dern is definitely getting nominated for The Sun. I go, what? No, she's not. And someone was oh, she has to, because every year there's a previous winner gets nominated for supporting actors. And I go, if that's your only option, get her out of there. I don't really, when I do predictions, it's unhealthy amounts of research. It's really diving into hearing what the word of mouth is. I think vibes definitely are a huge factor. What movies can get away with certain types of reviews, what movies can't. What the overall consensus seems to be. I can succumb to peer pressure sometimes. Sometimes I'm just nah, I believe in this. I'm just gonna go with it. I'll sometimes vouch for something, but I'm also all right, well, if it's wrong, it's wrong. I know I saw the TV Globes getting nothing, despite that it should get everything.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I try to not advocate for things and just stick to what I think is getting in based on what the buzz is, and I try to think about campaign, right? Who has the legs to be able to do it versus maybe something from a smaller studio just doesn't have the same power. That's something I thought about a lot, and sort of what is the zeitgeist of the moment. So with that said, shall we dive into Best Picture?
We shall.
Okay, so here's the 10 that I have. I have Nora, The Brutalist, Emilia Perez, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Sing Sing, Gladiator 2, A Complete Unknown, Wicked, and A Real Pain.
We have 8 in common.
All right, I know there's one that you have that I don't have, and I need to talk to you about that. So what are the two that are sort of
I can just go through my 10 really quickly.
Go for it.
I have Anora. That's I think everyone can agree that there's just no way around arguing for Anora, The Brutalist, Sing Sing, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, and Conclave. I think there's no way around it. At this point, Wicked is just going to happen. I've seen it twice now, and I really adore it. And I think this is just gonna blow up in a way that's just gonna be too unavoidable. A Real Pain is looking really, really solid in my opinion. Its
Mhm.
haul is really bad, but like you can get away with it. And then the two, I don't have Gladiator or Complete Unknown. I think Gladiator's kind of out, if I'm being honest. But when I said earlier about some movies can't get away with a certain kind of reception, Gladiator kind of can't get away with the reception it's getting because it's like an action blockbuster and shit like that. Complete Unknown, we're gonna find out tomorrow, because React is coming out, so I'm open to Complete Unknown. The two I have at number 9, I have Nickel Boys, and then number 10 I have Saturday Night, which I know is gonna be a controversial one, but I swear to God that one I'm really like, I'm not married to it. I'm aware of what's wrong with what's holding Saturday Night back. I'm aware, but I also see how industry's taking it. I see how Jason Reitman is like running around, like sprinting around Hollywood right now, and telling people the incredible stuff that went on behind the scenes of this movie. Talking about how John Batiste did the score live on set. Talking about how the sound was mixed live. Like stuff like that. Like the way him and Dan Aykroyd, he worked so closely with Dan Aykroyd. Stuff like that. I know it bombed. I know. But honestly, it just needs that industry support, which it is getting.
Yeah, of my picks, Gladiator 2, I think is probably I'm gonna drop it, to be honest with you, and I think Nickel Boys is probably what's the next sort of, because I think I had that and then I dropped it, and anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But Saturday Night, I mean, you're kind of the only person that I see feels as strongly about this.
Oh, I'm the last one. Last one. I'm aware, and I'm going ride or die. I was the only one who did All Quiet for the longest time, and that worked out in my favor. So I'm hoping lightning can strike twice.
But you are right, though. Like, they are really pushing the crafts for interviews. Like, they are. I mean, Jason Reitman's going all over the place. So I think maybe that translates to like screenplay potentially. I just don't know if I see it going all the way into picture.
Well, the other thing is, here's my thing. Anyone who says they're confident in their 10th slot is a liar, is what I say. I think at this point, it took me a second to put in Nickel Boys. After I saw it and like was kind of aghast by it, I was like, no. This is, I mean, the stuff have you seen it?
No, I haven't. But I'm putting in Nickel Boys. Like at this point, I feel like Nickel Boys feels like a solid 10 to me.
Yeah, and like last year, maybe not, but like this year with how weak it is and how like, it might take some adjusting. The first person perspective, I don't really see what's going to be so, distant. I think people are going to catch on to the first person thing. It's more the experimental nature of the narrative that I could see throwing some people off, but enough people will like get it and put it at their number 1 that I feel pretty good about Nickel Boys, even though I have it at 9.
Yeah, so here's a question for you, which you will see throughout my predictions. I have Emilia Perez all over the place, but it just dropped on Netflix. I mean, we're recording this the 19th. It dropped this week. The reaction from general audiences has not been great, shall we say, on social media. Has that impacted your thoughts? Are you prepared to drop it or at least lower it in your rankings? Yes or no?
I'm not prepared to drop it. I'm prepared to, say, all right, some things are going to suffer because of it. Maybe Selena Gomez goes, maybe editing goes, maybe score goes. But I think the overall, with those 2 Cannes wins, with that TIFF win, I think somebody we gotta like. I want to start introducing Emilia Perez to like relatives, see what their reaction is, because the only reaction I've seen is in our bubble. When industry support for Emilia Perez has been really high, Carla, Zoe, and Selena are like I said about Jason Reitman, they're all over the place. I can't ignore the vitriol around it, but like I kind of look at those like the critical consensus as good enough. I think it's doing well on Netflix right now, whereas like something like Maestro never even made the top 10 on Netflix, like even in its opening week, and audiences outright rejected it. you know, Perez is in a situation where it's looking down the barrel of 8 nominations on its worst day. So I gotta take that seriously. But I do think that something is gonna come from the backlash, even if not in a grand way. Because like Globes are gonna go for it, CCA is gonna go hard for it, SAG's gonna go hard for it, BAFTA's gonna go hard for it. You know, it's like at what point it's just like, all right, it's a strong beast.
That makes me feel better because there was definitely a certain point, even like yesterday, where I was like, wait, do I need to like rethink all of my predictions? Because I do think, and somebody said something interesting about Amelia Perez, where I feel like it throws so much at you and it's so overwhelming at some points that like even if you come away being like, this is a deeply flawed movie, there's still enough for you to be like, yeah, I liked this part. I liked this part. Like there's still, like you said, like even on its worst day, like it's going to probably pick up actress or song or whatever. Let's move on to director. So I'm big on Honora, as you will soon find out. So I have 10 for all of my categories. I don't do you have 10 or you have 5?
I have 16, but I can like I put in, actually I should probably delete some of these because like, you know, Ali Abbasi's definitely out. So is Robert Eggers. So Robert Eggers is definitely out. I have 13.
Okay, all right. So I'll give you my 10, and then you can give me your 13. So I have Sean Baker for Nora. I have Audiard for Amelia Perez. Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. Edward Berger for Conclave. Mohammad Rasulov. That's my big swing for the Seat of the Sacred Fig at number 5. Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, Ridley Scott for Gladiator 2. Yes, I realize that's probably too high. Steve McQueen for Blitz, James Mangold for Complete Unknown, and is it Coralie Farjat for The Substance? Coralie Farjat for The Substance in at number 10.
We got a lot in common. I can just do my top 10. The other ones I mentioned are like I mentioned Ridley Scott at like number 13. I have Pio Capati I mentioned at 12. Steve McQueen I have at 11. God forbid that actually happens. That movie's awful. I can go 1 to 10. I got number 1. I got Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. Denis Villeneuve for Dune. Sean Baker for Nora. Jacques Audier for Amelia Perez. At number 5, I have Ramel Ross. After that, I got Edward Berger at number 6 for Conclave. Greg Quidar at number 7 for Sing Sing. Coralie Farjat for The Substance at 8. Mohammad Rasulov for The Seat of the Sacred Fig at 9. And Jason Reitman for Saturday Night at 10.
Yeah, I really wanted to put Ramel Ross in here somewhere, and I was struggling with where to put him, and I think taking Ridley Scott out and putting in Ramel Ross feels right to me.
Yeah, I think like I think a lot of people are gonna like. In my opinion, I don't really like Gladiator that much, to be honest. And a lot of people are gonna justifiably, like people who criticize him, are gonna justifiably go after the script, for good reason. But I think, in my opinion, the issue with that movie was the direction. I think his direction is really flat. And it's also hard to, you know, get this spectacle narrative when Dune is right there.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I was struggling with is I was like, okay, so we sort of have two big sort of like auteur-driven big films, and I feel like both of them are not going to blockbusters. So I was like, 2 of them are not going to make it. One person I think, and I was like, again, I would like to find a spot for him, is John M. Chu for Wicked. Do you think that's a possibility?
No, and you'll see why when you see it. A lot of people, again, justifiably are going to go after the film's visual look, and I love the movie, but it is very much a justifiable complaint about the movie. I do think the movie flows really well. It's very well directed, and the musical sequences have a lot of very good energy. But like, you know, I think a lot of directing branches are going to deny this movie from a directorial standpoint. And again, in terms of the blockbusters, it's going to be hard to do it when you have Dune, like Denis Villeneuve, making like a massive accomplishment with Dune. Something's got to give when it comes to blockbusters with this branch. I think Dune has the stuff. Wicked, not so much.
And I think I mean I have Corbet right now at number 3, but I think this is a year where we potentially see like a picture director split. Just because I feel like if they're gonna award the Brutalist anywhere, Corbet seems like a very strong. I mean, I could make an argument that that's actually its strongest category. So I think very wise on your part to have him at number 1. That's probably a prediction that I'm gonna steal.
You can have this, fine. I would say, as someone who's seen The Brutalist, its strongest category is actually an actor, but we can get to that. But in director, like, this is an accomplishment, what Corbett pulls off. Like, it is astounding what he's able to do in this movie. With, he's going to go around talking about that $10 million budget, and you haven't seen it, right?
I've seen it twice. Yeah.
Like, you see what I mean? Like, $10 million, that's insane.
And let me tell you something. So this is like my non-scientific guinea pig is my mom, because her tastes overlap with the Academy a lot. So when the Houston screening, I was like, Mom, like, we're going to go see this movie. And I was like, she's either going to hate it or she's going to love it. And I was really surprised by how much she liked it. And I feel like that gave me a lot of confidence in the movie, because she was like, because at first she was like 3.5 hours, like, what in the world? But she was like, I didn't even feel the runtime. Like, she was like on the edge of her seat. Like, you know that meme of the guy like leaning forward? That was like my mom. Like,
I did that
like,
too.
Yeah, so like I feel like her reaction just gives me a lot of confidence that like maybe older members of the Academy are going to be like equally taken by it. We can get to actor next if you want, but no, I think I actually feel very strongly about Corbet in director, because I just think it's everything you basically, yes, I rubber stamp everything that you said and more.
Yeah. I do also quickly want to touch on that Mohamed Rasolouf prediction he got. I think with picture he would be a shoo-in. Problem is, I think See Sigrid Fig is going to require critic support. I don't really think it's going to get it, unfortunately. It might get like a Globe nom, like for like picture, because like that category is a little stagnant unless completely unknown jumps in. But I think Sigrid Fig has a bit of a mountain to climb. Because I think once Cannes was over, because like I remember NIF was kind of the exception, but like the fall festivals, I went to all of them except for Venice, of course, and it just kind of felt muted. And I was like, I kind of needed more of that noise to, it kind of goodwill for the director can only go so far, is my point.
So, as I mentioned, that's probably my biggest swing of all of my Oscar predictions. I just feel like we've seen the director's branch become increasingly international. There's clearly a lot of support for him. He has been everywhere. I literally interviewed him 10 minutes before we got on this podcast. So, like, so I just feel like if they do enough campaigning for it, which they are, like, it's enough to push him through, especially having like the support of the international things. And I feel like if director doesn't happen, there's like potential for original screenplay. So like,
I'll give you original screenplay. Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah, I just feel like either director or screenplay, I feel like they're gonna want to give him something outside of the film. I could be wrong, and I could feel differently. I just feel like right now there's a lot of support coalescing around him. But we'll see how that translates a couple months from now.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know if I can do it without a picture prediction.
And the thing is, with Dune 2, like, we know that there's a third part. So we know that there's, like, this potential idea of, like, well, we can give Denis, like, a nomination down the line. Or, like, it came out in March, whereas Seed of the Sacred Fig is, like, much fresher in people's minds. So I wonder if that,
I will say Warner Brothers is doing, like, an absolute banger job of making sure that doesn't happen. Like, Denis is like I said with the Reitman and who else did I say it about? Someone else I talked about. Denis is like everywhere. Like they're Denis. Like if nothing else, Warner Brothers just wants a Denis Villeneuve nom.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the safer pick, and probably a month from now he's gonna be in my top 5. But I just feel like Rasolouf, there's something there. Again, I don't know how it's going to manifest itself. To your point, maybe it's just going to manifest itself at the Globes. I just feel like he's like right there to me. So you mentioned Best Actor. I have Coleman Domingo in my number 1 slot for Sing Sing. And maybe that's just a hope. Listen, I just feel so strongly about that movie and that performance. And I have him in my number 1. I have Adrian Brody number 2, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave in a number 3, Daniel Craig for Queer at number 4. And then I feel like, I don't know, would you agree that top 4 seems pretty locked-ish?
I'd say the top 3 are.
All right, fair enough. Because number 5 right now, I have Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. And then I have Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, Paul Mescal for Gladiator 2, which again, I'm probably going to move that maybe completely off my list. Jesse Eisenberg for A Real Pain, Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness, and Jarrell Jerome for Unstoppable. Overall, a pretty, I don't know if you would agree, but kind of a weak-ish year for Best Actor. No, not too many contenders to play around.
It very
with.
much is
a
weak year. I think I have a 10, but I stopped taking it seriously after 7 because there's a big one you missed, in my opinion. But I also understand why you missed it. But I can say I have Adrian Brody at number 1 for The Brutalist. I have Coleman Domingo at number 2 for Sing Sing. I think if anyone's being Adrian Brody, it's Coleman Domingo. But I do think, part of me thinks Brody has it.
At this point, it feels to me like it's like Brody versus Domingo. Maybe Ralph Fiennes for Conclave could be a spoiler, but I just feel like it's like those 3.
I have Ray Fiennes at 3. Those 3 are just lock it in. Throw away the key.
Yeah.
I don't have Daniel Craig in, as much as that hurts my heart. That movie, I love Queer, but that movie is not for everyone.
Agree, completely agree.
I'm kind of expecting that audience score to be pretty bad. But I number 4, this might be a mistake, but I do have Sebastian Stan at number 4 for The Apprentice. I can get to that in a second. I have Timothée Chalamet for Complete Unknown at 5. Number 6, I have Daniel Craig. Number 7, I have Kingsley Ben-Adir for Bob Marley, One Love. And then after that, I just have the 3 Golden Globe comedy actors, Jesse Eisenberg for A Real Pain, Glenn Powell for Hitman, and Gabriella Bell for Saturday Night. I don't think any of them are getting in, but I'm like, one of them's going to win the Globe. I might as well put that in there.
All smart picks. I think if anything, Jesse Eisenberg is being underestimated here, because if we're talking about somebody who's like in a picture contender and like very much a contender for screenplay, like he seems to me like somebody. My thought process behind putting Daniel Craig in my top 5 is that I feel like there's enough goodwill for him that it will overcome whatever, like, however you may feel about the movie. And he just feels like one of those actors that's like overdue for like an Oscar moment. Yeah. That being said, and maybe I'm wrong, I haven't seen him campaigning that much.
He's been out there like running the circuit, but there hasn't been that many Q&As.
Yeah, I feel like he could be doing more, and I wonder if that's going to be to his detriment. I mean, Timothée Chalamet, I have him at number 5 simply because it's a biopic, and I feel like that could go either way. Like, we'll literally find out tomorrow. Like, either he's great and he skyrockets to the top, or he falls off. Let's talk about The Apprentice for a second, because I watched it this week, and outside of like the subject matter of the film, I just have an issue with the actual movie. I just did not think it was a good movie, and maybe I just don't like Abbasi as a director, because I also did not like Holy Spider, and I just feel like Stan, to me, it's a very like uneven performance. Like, especially at the
Really?
I think later on in the film, once he becomes sort of the Donald Trump that we know, he's much stronger and self-assured. But like earlier in the film, I felt like he was all over the place, and I just didn't think it was like an even. I could see him getting in because he's everywhere. Like, for political reasons, I could see them just nominate. Like, I think that's what, there's a reason why he's my number 6. Like, I totally see it happening.
Mhm.
I don't think it would be a very deserving nomination. And not that that matters at all anytime ever. I just don't.
So I watched The Apprentice like more than I think almost 2 months before the election. I thought it was excellent personally. I thought it was a very I think it could have gone deeper into him, but I do think as like a condemnation of the American system, I think it was pretty damning. And I thought Sebastian was kind of remarkable. I think obviously like when he goes full Donald Trump towards the end, it's like kind of uncanny. But I actually really like the meekness he had in the beginning. I like the transformation that we see throughout the film with Sebastian. Obviously after that nightmarish result, you know, I had to second guess it. And to me, I landed on one thing. It can go either way with how they treat. I think that look, this movie's chance to picture in the wastebasket at this point. I think if anything, the love goes towards Sebastian, maybe even his co-star Jeremy. It just kind of goes down to one thing: are people just gonna they can't stomach it, which is understandable. They just can't stomach watching this movie, which is justifiable, or do they think nominating him contributes to anti-Trump sentiment? I can't really fully tell. But a part of me leans towards to me, there's more evidence to suggest it's the latter more than the former. So I do have him in for now, but I'm not married to him. I'm only married to the first 3.
But here's the thing. So we're talking about somebody like Daniel Craig being a strong enough presence to potentially get in, even if his movie doesn't do very well. Is Sebastian Stan the kind of actor that has enough goodwill to get a nomination, even if the movie itself does not perform very well?
I would say this year, combined with this and A Different Man, he might. Yeah. And I guess I might as well mention the Kingsley Benadir thing, because I did mention that I'm taking him very seriously. Hats off to Paramount. They're like really like doing a very good job of keeping him in the conversation. I do have Timothy over him right now. As the musical biopic of a guy named Bob. If I'm taking out Chalamet, it would be for the same reasons I'm keeping Kingsley out. So it's a little bit of a weird thing. I think transforming into Bob Marley is more compelling than transforming into Bob Dylan. But at the same time, Timothy Chalamet's the guy right now. Like, he's definitely a man of the moment. Whereas Kingsley Benadir, this was his movie star moment. And again, nobody really liked the movie. The movie sucks. So it's a little interesting. I do think if Sebastian goes away and Chalamet, they can't stomach Sebastian Stan, and then A Complete Unknown is just a disaster. Maybe Kingsley can rise above the rankings. He's never going to get Critics' Choice, but he very well could get SAG, Globe, and really he could get BAFTA.
Yeah, I was going to say Kingsley feels like a SAG or Globe or BAFTA to me. And he is an actor. I mean, it's a very smart pick because he's an actor that's been building for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I could see a lot of voters being like, oh, I liked him in such and such, and like check him off. I don't know if that translates to Oscar morning, but I do think like it's a smart pick to have in the 10. Kind of like similarly to why I have Jarrell Jerome in my 10, just because I feel like he's also an actor that people have just been seeing and stuff. And so like if they make a push for that movie, like he's just someone to be aware of, and like maybe he could pick up like regional critics or something, or like just be in the conversation. Do I think that that's going to translate to anything? No, but
yeah, I see that. I consider Jarrell Jerome as well. I've seen Unstoppable. It's it's a Coach Carter ripoff. He's really good, and Amazon has got him and Jennifer Lopez out there. I just think the movie's gonna sink them.
All right, let's talk about Best Actress, because this is a category that I've probably struggled with the most. And
it's a tough one.
And what I'm struggling with is an actress by the name of Demi Moore. So right now, I have Demi Moore in my 6th slot. I have shifted Demi Moore in and out of 5 and 6 more times than I could even tell you. So right now, I have Mikey Madison for Honora, Angelina Jolie for Maria, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Saoirse Ronan for The Outrun, Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl, Demi Moore for The Substance, Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, and June Squibb for Thelma. Now,
Oh,
and let me tell you, June Squibb just showed up at the Gladiator 2 premiere to like support her on screen. Like they are putting June Squibb out there.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance she shows up at the Globes. So I will fight for that number 10 prediction. I feel like she's earned that number 10. Now, I will say before I like got on to talk to you, I'm very tempted to just kick out Nicole Kidman from number 5 and just put in Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, and that probably is something that I'm gonna do just because she feels like a solid number 5 to me.
I might talk you out of it.
Well, talk me out of it, please.
I think she's very good, but she very much suffers from main character syndrome. I think she kind of lacks personality, if I'm being honest. Especially in contrast to Ariana Grande, who's like so bubbly and like so funny, and so we'll get to her for sure because she's a lock. I have Cynthia Erivo at 8, if I'm being honest.
That's where she is for me right now. So okay,
yeah.
Maybe I'll keep her at number 8. All right, so give me your full list then, because I want to see.
I'll go 10-1 this time, just for dramatic effect.
All right, okay.
All right, I got for number 10. I got Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Number 9, I have Amy Adams for Night Bitch, which I think that's like kind of done. 8, I have Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. 7, I have Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. 6, Saoirse Ronan for The Outrun. 5, I got Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths. Number 4, I have Demi Moore for The Substance. And then 3, Angelina Jolie for Maria. 2, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez. And then 1, Mikey Madison for Honora.
Okay, so tell me why you are pretty confident about Demi Moore, enough to put her at number 4.
It's one of those things where I can piece together like I have my justifications. I have my my research and my strategizing that's letting me put her there. She's doing a hell of a job campaigning. She's got a very big overdue narrative. The Substance is just huge. I think there is going to be some struggles with that movie, given what it is. It's very gross. It's very yada, yada, yada. But more than that, my brain is just letting me picture it so clearly on top of it. Like, usually, I never considered Toni Collette for Hereditary. I knew Lupita Nyong'o was not getting it for us. My brain's just like, this is going to be Demi Moore's first nomination, and it makes sense. And here's the other thing. Critics' Choice, locked. Globes, probably going to happen. More likely than not going to happen. SAG, guaranteed. BAFTA, they can. That's a coin flip. But I right now I would lean it would happen. I do think, in my opinion, I think that there's a lot of optimism for The Substance right now. In my opinion, all the goodwill for that movie is going to go directly to her, and I feel pretty good about it. Like, is she locked like Angelina or Carla or Mikey? Maybe not, but I feel a sense of confidence in Demi Moore.
Here's the thing. Nothing that you said is incorrect, but I think we're glossing over something, which is that the movie is gross. Like, the body horror, and like we've seen the Academy embrace horror, right? Like when it's horror with a message, they will embrace it. But correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't really seen the Academy embrace body horror to this level. Like, it is disturbing to the point where I had to pause the movie several times and like step away from it. And I have to consider that might be enough of a turnoff for a lot of people.
And you're right to do that. I would just say, I think when I saw the movie at TIFF, I mean, for the record, when I saw it at TIFF, I wasn't like, Demi Moore is getting it. It didn't even cross my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember being like, this is, despite how gross it is, this is a broad movie. And on top of that, the key thing is you mentioned messaging. This is a movie about body like image, about like, especially in the industry. I think a lot of people are going to relate to this movie, this character. And I do think it's like easy to grasp what this, even though I do think the grossness will stop it from picture or something like that. I do think it is going to be easy for some people to digest what it's about. For better or for worse, this movie is very easy.
And something else that I've been thinking a lot about is, given where we are in the world, I think a movie about a woman, directed by a woman, like female-led stories, I think are going to do very well this year. So, like, that's why I'm struggling, because on the one hand, I'm like, this movie has a lot of things going against it. A big thing we haven't mentioned is Mubi is a very small distributor. They're doing a very
small,
good job.
Yeah.
They have, and I mean, Demi is everywhere, but does it have the manpower or the money to get it all the way? I mean, March is a long time from, you know what I mean? Like,
they just got to get to January. Honestly, they just got to get to the beginning of December, honestly. If they can snatch that Globe and Critics' Choice nom early, like, they can go from there. And again, a lot of people, this movie made a lot of money. So, like,
it has.
The audience exists.
I just see a world where Demi picks up all the precursors and she becomes the J-Lo or the Jennifer Aniston and is left off Oscar morning.
There's also like an entire possibility where she just crashes and burns early.
And she's like a critics person only. Yeah. A critics pick only.
She's got Critics' Choice in the bag. Yeah. But like, it's possible that I'm completely misguided and she gets nothing else.
No,
in that scenario, I would get rid of her.
Yeah, I think in this case, like, for me right now, she really does feel like a 50-50 coin toss, where like the scenario that you described feels entirely possible to me, or it's like something that mostly exists on the internet for now. I can't really tell. But I do want to talk to you because you have Marianne Jean-Baptiste. I love that performance.
She's terrific.
If that happens, I will combust. And I would like you to tell me why you feel confident, because I would like to feel more confident. So talk me into.
I think it's just a very, obviously the character is very difficult, obviously. That performance is just so entertaining and so much and so like combustible throughout the entire, at least first half, and then very tragic in the back half. I think that, there's definitely some red flags. She's probably going to be the film's only nomination, but that could be said about The Outrun and Baby Girl as well. And even the Room Next Door, if you even want to consider Tilda Swinton anymore. I think when I saw, it's one of those things. I saw Hard Truths and I leaned over to my friend. I was like, she's got it. Like, she's in. I think it's a very loud, very entertaining performance, a very challenging performance. Also, that can be an issue, of course, and the character's unlikable, which is why I decided to put her at number 5. But I do think Hard Truth is going to have a little bit more admiration than The Outrun, and I think like Hard Truth is also more digestible than, even though I love it, I think Baby Girl does have a bit of a like. It's kind of like, all right, yes, everyone loves Baby Girl, but who's gonna really go out for Kidman is what I'm wondering.
I have Kidman as sort of my number 5 placeholder for now, because I feel like a lot of times when the Academy doesn't know what to do with a 5th slot, they sort of default to somebody that they know. And I feel like it's just very easy for them to be like, look at Nicole Kidman giving a very daring performance in a female written and directed movie. Like, I just feel like it would make sense for them to slot her in there, even though, like, I think it's a great Nicole Kidman performance, but like, even in the ranking of great Nicole Kidman performances, it doesn't even rank that high for me. Like, it's just Nicole Kidman doing a good job.
Yeah, she's definitely better than when she was nominated for Ricardo's.
Well, there's probably like 10 other Nicole Kidman performances that you could put in there. Let's talk about Best Supporting Actor. This is a fascinating race. in my opinion. Probably one of the most interesting races in general. So I'm big on A Real Pain. I really love that movie. I have Kieran Culkin as my number one. Denzel Washington is my number two for Gladiator 2. That's probably going to shift. The more I talked about the Gladiator, the more I'm like, it's just going to keep going lower and lower in my rankings. But right now I have Denzel at number 2. I do feel confident about him getting into the 5 just because he's Denzel Washington. But I have Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Semi-big swing, I have Yura Borisov for Anora at number 4. Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing at number 5. Stanley Tucci for Conclave. Adam Pearson for A Different Man. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. And then at number 10, and I fully just need to find somebody else, I have Peter Skarsgård for September 5th. And my mentality for that, which again, I'm going to take him out. My mentality for that was like, I haven't seen this movie, but I feel like if that's going to show up anywhere acting wise, it's going to be for him just because he's such a beloved actor, but like, that's not happening. So let's talk about my top 9, I guess. So tell me who you have. Cause again, this is such a fascinating category and I feel like this can go a number of ways.
So I'll go 1 to 10. I got Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing at number 1.
Look at you! Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. Look, I picked the perfect guess. Come back anytime.
I do have Kieran Culkin at number 2 for A Real Pain.
Okay.
I got Guy Pearce at number 3 for The Brutalist. I have Denzel Washington for The Gladiator 2 at number 4. You can keep that one in. And I do have Yura Borisov at number 5 for Nora. After that.
Wow.
Yeah. After that, I got Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Stanley Tucci for Conclave. Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. Brian Tyree Henry for The Fire Inside. And number 10, I have John Magaro for September 5th.
Oh, okay. This makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were going to tell me I'm crazy for having a September 5th guy in there, but you have one too, just a different one. All right.
Yeah. I think September 5th is fake news.
Yeah, and it's funny because I like was talking to the PR and I was like, hey, I really want to see this movie, and they were like, do you live in New York and LA? And I was like, no, and they were like, okay, well,
too bad. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, too bad.
On Monday.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to come back and because I have no idea what to make of that movie right now. And spoiler alert, this is the only category that I have it in for now, just because I have no idea. I have no idea. So I'm surprised that you also have Yura Borisov in. I just feel like if Anora is going to do as well as we're predicting, and if you're going to go as big for Mikey Madison as I assume a lot, I feel like they're such a pair, and that final scene is such a strong thing.
That's what convinced me. That's what convinced me at the end of the day. I think, there's obviously, I don't think Yura Borisov is going to do that well with precursors. I think he could just get BAFTA and that could be enough. I also have seen like a lot of people trying to force Anora into a 6th category because like, oh, we can't just nominate 5. Yes, you can. Green Book won with 5. Spotlight won with 5. But at the same time, if you're I don't think forcing Anora into a category is a smart idea. Unless you actually think it's gonna happen. But the reason I landed in Yura Borisov at the end of the day is something like you said. It's that final scene it sticks with everybody, and he's the other half of it. I do think Yura Borisov is, obviously it's not the showiest thing in the world. He's obviously not a name per se, but he is memorable. He is a pretty big part of that movie. I do think a lot of people are going to go, he was excellent. Like, he was one of my favorite performances of the year.
Well, let's talk about Stanley Tucci for a second, because I have him on the bubble. You do as well. I really struggle with, because I don't feel as strongly as to put Clarence Macklin at number 1, but I feel very strongly that he's getting in for the same reason as Yura Borisov. I just don't understand. You watch Sing Sing, you see Coleman Domingo, and they're a pair. I feel like Clarence Macklin is undeniable. You cannot watch one performance and then deny the other one, right? So I feel like Clarence Macklin just makes so much sense to me. But at the same time, I'm like Stanley Tucci. Obviously, he has history with the Oscars. He has a book coming out. If it's not out, he has a show that's doing very well. He's everyone loves the Tooch, right? Like, I mean, I just feel like Conclave is gonna do very well, and so like, is he just gonna be a shoo-in at the expense of a Yuri Borisov or a Clarence Macklin?
I mean, when I saw Conclave, I threw every single supporting actor in the wastebasket. I was like, just Ray Fiennes. Rewatching it, I was like, all right, I got to recontextualize this a little bit. I do think the issue kind of remains though with Stanley Tucci. He blends in with that ensemble. He doesn't stand out in any particular way, and that is an issue. And the only reason he stands out is because he's Tucci. But is that enough? You know what I mean? Like, it could be because Conclave's looking really strong. It's making a lot of money. It's definitely going to be an industry favorite. I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen along the way that might convince me to put him in. But for now, I'm going to keep him on the outs because I don't know. I'm not thinking Conclave's going to be that monster.
And let's talk about Jeremy Strong for just a second, because like, do you think that the love for Succession is still so strong that maybe, and like, I mean, he just got a Tony nomination as well. I can't remember if he won. He might have won, but like, clearly there's a lot of love for Jeremy Strong. He's showing up places. He was just at the Governor's Awards. So like, whatever, I mean, he is going for it. And in whatever sense that Jeremy Strong campaigns, I believe that he's campaigning. And I feel like he's so clearly like a mustache twirling villain type that the Academy likes. And like, if you're pissed off and you want a villain, like, he's right there. And so is there a world where that's enough for him to get both? And not to mention, like, Jeremy Strong has worked with a lot of people. A lot of people really just like the guy. And so, like, is that enough in and of itself for a nomination?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna point out. I feel like Jeremy Strong is past Succession goodwill. Like, he's just a beast of his own. I will admit, even though I thought he was excellent, I saw The Apprentice and was like, they have to go with Sebastian. They don't have to go with Jeremy. And I do think that is still true, but they could just go with him. Like, he's showy, he's really good, and obviously he's obviously huge right now. His Succession co-star is like a guarantee to get in. You know, I think, I wouldn't be shocked. That's what I'm going to keep him out, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, because I could see a world where you're like, well, I don't want to vote for the guy playing Trump, but I do want to vote for the guy playing the villain. And like, I don't know how much awards pedigree matters, but I feel like Jeremy Strong has a stronger awards pedigree than like a Sebastian Stan. Like, they seem more eager for like Jeremy Strong to be like anointed by, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I also think like, I think they could have done that for like Armageddon time. I think like he just needs the perform. I think he still needs a performance, and he does have it. He does have the performance. It's just maybe it's gonna take a little bit of heft to manifest, into something. And I do think that the election result will hurt the movie as a whole. And like, I think if Sebastian gets it, he might just get in. And I wonder how Jeremy.
Yeah, I guess I just haven't landed on like whether the election result will hurt it or help it. Because then maybe people will be like, well, we're glad that this movie exists, even though they tried to stop it. And like, maybe voting for The Apprentice is like a protest vote of like, here's this movie that Donald Trump hates. Let's vote for it. Like, I wonder if that's
him in a horrible light.
Yeah, like maybe that's actually going to benefit the film and not hurt the film. Or I don't know.
I think that if it does hurt it, it's because people don't want to watch something that humanizes them, even if the portrait is really negative. It's a very interesting thing. That's why I'm very question marky on the film as a whole, even though I thought it was excellent.
Okay, let's move on to best supporting.
Before we do that,
sure.
I feel like I should justify my Clarence Macklin winning theory.
Oh, well, please listen to you want to talk about Sing Sing? I will talk to you about Sing Sing all day.
Oh, so good. I just feel like after I saw it at TIFF last year, I I was like, Coleman Domingo was outstanding. That guy stood out to me more though, and I had to Google his name. Look, A24 botched that release, but they've been doing an excellent job of getting that cast in front of people and making sure they tell their stories. And my theory is Clarence Macklin has to win one precursor, just a single precursor that, he tells an amazing story, gets a huge standing ovation, and the race is done. He can win Globe and nothing else, and I'd still be like, the Oscar's his.
I mean,
I think it's a very compelling narrative to get behind.
He does, and I mean, he's co-written the screenplay as well,
Yes.
so like he could very well be a double nominee, which works in his favor. I feel like, as you mentioned, because A24 botched Sing Sing so badly, it's made me doubt like how much people care about that movie anymore. So I have to see, like you said, like if he wins something or starts picking up those nominations, that I'm like, heck yeah, like he's on top of my list. Because I saw it at South by Southwest, and like I've said this many times, but like I have not been able to stop thinking about that movie since. Like literally, it plays in my mind over and over and over again, even more than
so
something
good.
like The Brutalist. Like I just feel like it's just, and I feel like all people have to do is give it a chance and watch it, and you will have the same, even if it's not like your number one. Like I just feel like you're gonna react to it in some way. And so like if there's one thing that people take out of this podcast, is just watch Sing Sing.
It's not to sound corny, but it's the movie people need right now. It's that dash of hope that people need.
I agree. I completely agree. Let's talk about supporting actress. So I have Zoe Saldana in my number one slot. And we mentioned sort of the backlash to Amelia Perez is starting. I'm still gonna keep her in my number one because I think she has a very compelling narrative as an actress of like, here's this actress that's done all these blockbusters and here's her chance to shine. And I just think she's very good. Like, I don't like that movie, to be completely honest, but I think she's great in it. I have Danielle Deadweiler in at number 2, which you can probably talk me out of. But again, I just think with her not getting that nomination for Till, I think she's the best part of the piano lesson. I think having the Washingtons behind that adaptation, the August Wilson adaptations tend to do, pick up nominations. Obviously, Ma Rainey didn't do as well as Fences did, but people do pay attention to those adaptations when they're on Netflix, and so I feel like she's clearly the standout. Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. This one you're gonna laugh at, I think, but I have Saoirse Ronan for Blitz. I have Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Selena Gomez for Amelia Perez, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Anjanou Ellis-Taylor for Nickel Boys, and at number 10, a performance that I love that is absolutely not going to get nominated but should be in the conversation, which is Joan Chen for Dee Dee.
Oh, that'd be so good. She's spectacular, but yeah, I've lost faith in that one. I also have Zoe Saldana number 1, kind of by default, which makes me nervous, but I'm not really confident in anything else. I have Felicity Jones at number 2 for The Brutalist. I have Ariana Grande for Wicked at number 3. I got Danielle Deadweiler at number 4 for The Piano Lesson. I got Selena Gomez at number 5 for Amelia Perez. Yeah. I'm not feeling great about that. Number 6, I got Anjanou Ellis for Nickel Boys. Margaret Qualley at number 7 for The Substance. I got Saoirse Ronan at number 8 for Blitz. At number 9, I got Natasha Lyonne for His 3 Daughters. And then number 10, I have Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, but I'm not really considering her.
Yeah, I'm really confused by the amount of predictions I keep seeing for Isabella Rossellini. I have her in at number 6 just because of the name recognition, and I think Conclave is going to do well. But I feel like once you watch that movie and you realize she's not in very much of it, I don't actually see that translating to a nomination. All right, so we have kind of similar names floating around. Yeah. What has you kind of feeling strongly about Selena Gomez at the moment? That's kind of shocking.
It's not confidence per se. I just think, like, I just was like, all right, logically, who's like, I think my gut tells me Margaret Qualley. To be honest, my gut's saying Margaret Qualley, but I'm just like, I don't want to go that far with the substance. I just feel like, again, Selena is running around with Carla and Zoe. I do think Amelia Perez is going to strike a very different chord with the Academy than it is with film Twitter or bubble. She does the stuff. I did kind of watch it going, they don't have to go with her. Like, that's not necessary. I don't think they should. Not that she's bad, but I just don't think she deserves a nomination. I feel like Gomez is on the cusp of a lot of like recognition, like a bit of she can act kind of thing. And she's also, people are going to compare it like, oh, two pop stars, really? Like with Ariana Grande now firmly in there. I would say Selena Gomez has been acting for like consistently for like decades. So I feel like they're going to, allow it. I don't know. My brain's just saying go keep with Selena. My gut's telling me go with Margaret, and then my heart's saying Aunjanue Ellis, but like she's in 4 scenes.
Oh, well, I didn't realize that I thought maybe she had more screen time. That's disappointing. All right, so I have 2 kind of questions that I want to raise. One is, right now, I have Saoirse Ronan getting 2 nominations. I have her in for The Outrun and Blitz. You have her in for 0.
Yeah.
Tell me why you're so convinced that, like, the year of Saoirse Ronan is just not happening this year.
Blitz, if that's not in picture, I'm not even considering Saoirse if the movie's not in picture. I think the performance is pretty forgettable, to be honest. She's not bad. I just think the movie, she doesn't do anything that rises above everything else that makes you think that she can get in if the movie is rejected. The Outrun is going to be rejected, but they can go with Saoirse anyway. I'm definitely not denying her for The Outrun. I just, process of elimination is only 5 slots. That's kind of the only reason Saoirse's out. She definitely has the stuff for The Outrun. I just, the movie's pretty bad, and like I think Sonny Rich's Glass is actually doing a really good job with her. I will say that. I just, process of elimination. I don't know. The Saoirse Ronan hype has been kind of muted this year. Like, she's been praised. Like, nobody dislikes her performances. It's just the movies are so nothing that she's been kind of left to dust. Although Outrun wouldn't surprise me though.
Do you think if there's a scenario where if she starts picking up nominations, then she starts showing up places and people are like, oh yeah, we love Saoirse. We haven't given her proper props. Therefore, let's...
She probably is going to pick up some stuff for The Outrun. Again, I'm not denying her for The Outrun. I just only 5 slots. I only think she'll pick up stuff for Blitz if the movie is, embraced, which at this point in time, audience scores aren't great. It's coming out on Apple this Friday. I feel like, I want to show it to my parents, see what happens. Maybe I'm just blinded by the fact that I really didn't like it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this double Saoirse thing, it's possible in theory. If I decide to put Blitz back in picture, I'm throwing Saoirse back in. It's just at the moment I'm like, neither are really yelling at me to do it.
All right, so I have another theory that I'm going to throw at you, which is when I saw The Brutalist the first time, I did not like Felicity Jones in it. I was like, her performance is uneven. Her character kind of got on my nerves. I didn't like that her character was like in service of the Adrian. She was like the long-suffering wife type character. When I rewatched it, I softened to her quite a bit. Like, I felt like I understood a little bit. I still think, like, she's in service of Adrian Brody, and, like, I don't like that her big moment in the film is sort of in service to his character. Like, I feel like she is sort of the long-suffering wife, but the Academy loves the long-suffering wife role. Those. And, like, her previous Oscar nomination theory of everything is, like, textbook long-suffering wife. So, like... Is there a world where she could actually win? Because if we're looking at The Brutalist as like a movie that the Academy is going to really like, and if Amelia Perez like falls off, and maybe Zoe Saldana like And Ariana Grande, maybe she has like the same pop star bias that Lady Gaga had, right? Where we're not ready to give her an acting Oscar. And Amelia Perez falls off. The Piano Lesson, Daniel Deadweiler gets the long overdue nomination, but like that's as far as it goes. Is there a scenario where Felicity Jones, like the previous Oscar nominee, the indie darling that's been in a lot of solid movies throughout her career, like can she take it?
I actually saw more of a winner in that performance that it did with Guy Pearce, who a lot of people are considering to win. I am too, to an extent, but like less so. Yeah, I think it's a possibility, but at this point, it feels like that what it'll take to get there is like insane brutalist support, which I know our last 2 years, our Best Picture winners were like sweepers, but like that's not the norm, and I think that like Everything Ever All at Once and Oppenheimer struck like chords that no movie this year has, and barely any movie ever has. So like, I'm not expecting the sweeper this year. I think Brutalist is going to win a lot, but like, I don't think it'll get to that extent. But yeah, if they do decide, they don't want to go with Zoe Saldana. If they do decide Ariana Grande, she's great, welcome to the club, but not now. They could default to Felicity Jones. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I do agree with you that Jones seems stronger to me than Guy Pearce. I just don't. I buy Guy Pearce like getting his first nomination. I just don't see that translating to a win. Like and I know a lot of people are predicting him or like wanting to predict him just based on goodwill. Like I get it.
You need more than that.
Yeah,
you need more than that, and he is excellent in The Brutalist. I just I never saw a winner in that performance.
And I think the turn that his character takes is like maybe enough to turn some people off, I don't know. I never saw that being the kind of performance that goes all the way. All right, let's do original screenplay. So I have Anora, I have The Brutalist, I have A Real Pain. I do think Jesse Eisenberg, I think he gets in there. I have Mike Lee for Hard Truths. Right now at number 5, again, you're gonna have to help me. Is it so Coralie Farjat?
Coralie Farjat.
I need to like say it over and over again. But I have The Substance. I have Seed of the Sacred Fig at number 6. I have His Three Daughters at number 7. Challengers at number 8. Blitz at number 9. And then I have All We Imagine Is Light in number 10, just because I feel like there was a lot of love for that movie and disappointment that it was ultimately not chosen. And I feel like there is a scenario where they throw it a bone in original screenplay. Do I think that that's going to happen? No, but there's possibility. So that's why I have it in at number 10.
Man, we got very different 10s. I do have Nora at number 1. I have A Real Pain at number 2. I got The Brutalist at number 3. I have Saturday Night at number 4. Number 5, I'm going with Challengers. And then I got The Seed of the Sacred Fig at number 6. Hard Truths at number 7. The Substance at number 8. September 5th at number 9. And then number 10, I'll go with The Apprentice.
I mean, solid. All of these. I can't really argue against. See, Saturday Night is such a tricky film to me because it's like I see a scenario where it actually picks up like several. Like I see screenplay being like something that in hindsight is going to be like very obvious just based on like the amount of research that they did. I can see it easily picking up score. I could see it sneaking in for picture, or I could just see it being like goose egg, like nothing. I think Challengers at number 5 is a very, very smart pick just because I think it's going to do very well at the Globes and like potentially pick up momentum there. So yeah, I can't really argue against many of your.
Yeah, Saturday Night is like you said, it can go both ways. Like it could go really hard or not at all. Again, I think Reitman's doing the circuit incredibly well to at least for that him and Batiste at least to get in. Challengers, I took a lot of thought into this. After that fifth slot, I was like, all right, see the second fig also makes a lot of sense for a screenplay. I do think the thing that made me take away from it is that a lot of people are pretty sour on that last act, myself included, even though I thought the movie was terrific up until that point. I went with Challengers at the end of the day because like people love that movie. It's very easy to fall for film. It's very showy with its structure. It has a lot of like, deception and like, like interesting like dynamics that I was like, maybe that's the bone it gets thrown. And then I decided to see the Sacred Fig just on the outs. Hard Truths, I'd love if that got in. I'd love that.
I just think the Mike Lee, especially like if we're considering Marianne Jean-Baptiste for actress, like I feel like it would make sense for there to also be a screenplay pairing there, which also kind of brings me to the substance because I don't know, like, is that just going to be Demi and nothing? I mean, I have it, spoiler alert, in hair and makeup as well, but I feel like, and I don't think it's going to get director. So, like, it makes sense that you may want to honor Farja and her work and give her something. So, like, screenplay just makes sense. Also, like, do you think Hitman could potentially be like, is there something that we're not considering that maybe could be like a fifth?
Well, Hitman we can talk about in adapted.
Oh, adapted. Sorry. Yeah.
In terms of what we're not considering, I think you said everything. I think juror number 2 it just got shafted.
Yeah.
I think that's in the wastebasket. Nothing comes to mind, quite frankly. A different man? No, probably not.
All right, let's move on to adapted. So I have Conclave, Amelia Perez, Sing Sing, The Piano Lesson, just based on, I think, Virgil Williams is a Oscar juggernaut, and it will be a good way to sort of honor Malcolm Washington, so to speak. I have Nickel Boys at number 5, Almodovar, number 6 for The Room Next Door, A Complete Unknown at number 7, Wicked at number 8, Dune Part 2 at number 9, and then I have The Wild Robot at number 10.
All right, I got Sing Sing at number 1. I got Conclave at number 2. Dune at number 3. I got Nickel Boys at 4, and then Amelia Perez at 5. And then I got Wicked at 6, Hitman at 7. Complete Unknown at 8, The Piano Lesson at 9, and then just as a wishful thing, I got The Fire Inside at 10. Barry Jenkins, that can't be nothing.
Indeed. I mean, Nickel Boys, again, I feel like is one of those movies that could have like a very good Oscar nomination morning, or just be like, remember that really good movie that the Academy paid dust to. And at this point, I don't know. And then, like, same thing with Almodovar. I mean, it's Almodovar, so I could see The Room Next Door. I could even see a scenario where, like, Tilda Swinton gets into actress. Like, I'm not saying it's very likely, but, like, the path is there for them to embrace that film if they wanted to. Like, Wicked, I mean, I don't know. I could go either way. I think, again, Dune Part 2, the first part was nominated for adapted. So, like, I could see that happening again. Or I could, again, see a scenario where they're like, well, we nominated you for the first one. We could take a break. I just don't know.
Well, as for The Room Next Door, I don't like that movie even a little bit. So maybe I'm biased. But, Almodovar's, I think people overestimate how much the Academy adores Almodovar. I went through, I checked and see like how many of his films, like how many nominations in total, all like 20 something of his films have. It's like 9 nominations, and none of them for picture. Talk to Her is, I think, his only screenplay nomination. And, even the people who are into this movie, like the criticism has been the screenplay. And I do think that, like, and there's some like glaring issues with it, and so I think that will be pretty halted pretty quickly. Wicked, I just see that as really much a non-director and screenplay movie. Maybe screenplay. It's weak enough that maybe it could happen. And then you mentioned Dune, I believe. I've been on the camp that Dune's just gonna happen all year long for screenplay. You know, like you said, the first one got in, and then like this one, the praise just like quintupled. Like it's kind of the consensus that this one's better than the first. It's more of like
which I completely agree with. I think I much prefer part 2 than the first one for sure.
Yeah, me too, and I love the first one. Yeah, I think Dune's. This category feels like pretty set for Dune, in my opinion. The question for me is more Emilia Perez. Like, that's the issue. That like I said with The Room Next Door, that's the issue. Like, the screenplay is the issue, and but maybe like I think the Academy's just gonna go all out for Emilia Perez. So it might be.
Yeah, I have him, but I mean that one could easily drop. Like Emilia Perez, like I said, I think I'm still in this point where like, is the hate in a bubble or is it gonna translate to like the industry? Especially because like if A Complete Unknown does really well, like I know James Mangold obviously has like such a history with the Academy, particularly when it comes to biopics. So I could see him easily slotting in there. And then tell me if I'm correct. So we'll do animated feature next. And I know that like typically animated films do not translate to very many categories. I love The Wild Robot. Is there a scenario where it shows up? Because I'm seeing a lot of people predicting it for score. I'm seeing a lot of people predicting it potentially for screenplay. Is that out of the realm of possibility, do you think?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's the same kind of thing I've been saying about like The Wild Robot in most categories. If Spider-Verse couldn't pull it off, like a game changer like Spider-Verse couldn't pull it off, if like, these auteur-driven films like Pinocchio and Boy and the Heron couldn't pull it off, I don't really see what about The Wild Robot, which is like, a lot of people love it. I'm not in the love it camp, even though I thought it was great. It's like what of this one is sticking out more than those other animated movies that couldn't pull it off? That's why I'm like, probably not.
Fair enough. All right, so I'll read you. Clearly, I have The Wild Robot in as my number one.
It's
like,
winning.
I'm like so far on the Wild Robot train that like if anyone texts me and they're like, "What Oscar what Oscar movie should we be watching?" The first thing I say is like, "Have you watched The Wild Robot?" Like if you have not watched The Wild Robot, like stop, watch it, and then continue with the rest of the list. I just think it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. Like the story, the look, everything. I loved it. So I have The Wild Robot, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Okay, this I hate myself for predicting, but I picked Piece by Piece for my number 5 because I think the Pharrell of it all is pretty strong, and I feel like just like the name recognition of that might be enough to get it over. So then I have Flow at number 6, the Lord of the Rings movie at number 7, Transformers 1 at number 8, Ultraman Rising, and then The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie at number 10.
Interesting. I have Wild Robot 1. I think that's pretty set in stone that it's going to win.
Yeah, I agree.
I got Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, number 2. I got Inside Out 2 at number 3. I see some people trying to be like, oh, what if it's Frozen 2? And I'd be like, I would not predict that at all. I got Memoir of a Snail at 4, which should win. And then I have Flow at 5. I got Moana 2 at 6. I got Orion in the Dark at 7. I got Ultraman Rising at 8. I got Lego Pharrell at 9. And then I got the Lord of the Rings movie at number 10. I don't think the Academy wants to. I think too many Academy members are going to be like, I'm sorry, did you say a Lego movie about Pharrell Williams? And also the movie's like pretty horrific, and it made really no money. It's just a lot of like, and like they're not even gonna like. Have you listened to the song for the movie? It's pretty rough.
I have, yes. I mean that makes me feel good about taking it out of my predictions because I was like, well, maybe Pharrell is enough, but actually, you've given me the confidence that I need to make the necessary changes.
Yeah.
And I love you mentioned Orion in the Dark. That was such a good movie. I feel
Well,
like
I don't
it's
think it's gonna
dated.
happen, but
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, that's another option.
Let's do international film real quick. So I have
Sure.
Amelia Perez. I just think it's unstoppable at this point. Like I feel like it's as close of a lock as we have. Then I have
It's already
Seed of the
won.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like already in great. Like, even if it doesn't win anything else, or like even underperforms on nomination morning, it still won't be enough for me to be
Yeah.
like, oh, it's not winning. Like, I just feel like even just based the name recognition alone is going to be enough for people to check it off. So I have
Yeah.
Amelia Perez, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. These are like the only two that I'm confident in. Confident in, by the way, and
I'm
then the
confident in
rest.
3.
Yeah, I'm still here, which I guess I should say I'm also fairly confident in. I have The Girl with the Needle at number 4, Kneecap at number 5, Flow at number 6, Dahomey at number 7, Armand at number 8 from Norway, Universal Language at number 9, and Grand Tour at number 10.
All right, so our top 10 is actually pretty similar, with one exception. Yeah, you'll find out what it is very quickly. So I got Amelia Perez at number 1. It's done. Just wrap it up. Cedar Sacred Fig at number 2. I'm Still Here at number 3, which I loved. I got Kneecap at number 4. I've heard excellent things about it. I'm going to try and catch it this week. And number 5, I got How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies.
Ooh.
It's China submission. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's outstanding. Apparently, it's on Netflix. It's apparently very easy watch. So I'm like, I think I'll put that in, and maybe I see it and I change my mind. But that's what I'm going with at the moment. I got The Girl with the Needle number 6. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's like fantastic, but like so like stomach turning. Like it might be just too much to nominate. I got Armand, I got Universal Language, I got Dahomey, and I got Grand Tour.
No, I think what was the title? Win Money, what, Grandma, what?
How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies.
How to make me, well, okay, so here's the thing. So the title alone is catchy enough to make me think that people are going to want to watch it. Which, like, if you imagine you have a ton of screeners or whatever, and it's easily available on Netflix, so that automatically gives it a leg up over a lot of other films. So that is not a bad prediction. But you may have to watch it and come back and be like, I made a huge mistake.
Yeah, I plan on watching this and Kneecap by the end of the week. So we'll see.
So let's do documentary. I have to be completely honest. I have only seen one of these films, and
I've seen
so
a couple.
I have no confidence in these predictions, which is why I'm glad you're here to kind of tell me I'm crazy or I'm not. So
Okay.
I have Daughters, Sugarcane, Black Box Diaries, Dahomey, A New Kind of Wilderness, No Other Land, Union, Frida, Will and Harper, and then at number 10 I have Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Okay. Number 1, I have Will and Harper.
Oh!
I put it in at number 1. I had some conversation with friends after, who are like also into prognosticating. So I'm sure mutual friends of ours. And our instinct was like to us, like, this branch doesn't like celebrity docs. But then I was like, well, hold on, hold the phone. Is it really a celebrity doc just because Will Ferrell's there? It's not really about Will Ferrell. So I kind of was like, but that's such an easy movie to get behind, a very important one that can save lives. So I was like, I think I'm going to predict it to win until like I'm wrong. After that, I do have Daughters. I do have No Other Land, which I heard is absolutely spellbindingly good.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I got Dahomey, and I got the Black Box Diaries. I got Sugar Cane number 6. Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat at number 7. Youth Spring at number 8. Freaking, did I say Sugar Cane?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I should put that higher. I do have the Christopher Reeves doc, but that's like the kind of celebrity doc that they kind of reject. But I heard it's excellent, and I still want to see it. And then Frida.
So the reason why I have Will and Harper, so the Superman I just put in because I was like, they are promoting the heck out of that movie. Christopher Reeve's son is everywhere. So like, I think it's like, if we're talking about at this moment in time, the docs that are in conversation, like it's one of those docs, right? Will and Harper, I put so low for the exact reason of like, they're just gonna call it a celebrity biopic. But like, I agree with, first of all, it's very, very
I
good.
loved it.
And like, what I noticed, so I saw it at South by Southwest in Texas, and like, even the people that were like older were like, oh, have you seen Will and Harper? It's really, really good. Like, you should see it. It should be on your list. Then the same thing happened at TIFF. Like, I would like talk to people, and even like the older people who you would not even think would watch it were like, oh yeah, I have a ticket to Will and Harper. Like, that's what I'm going to go see next. So like, and it's on Netflix. It's been available to people for a while. So like, you make a very compelling argument there.
It's also really funny. It's very easy to watch. You'll laugh, you'll cry. And on top of that, the thing that I love most about it, it's very cinematic. Like, you could frame it as if you're just watching another Will Ferrell comedy. It's just, it has this incredible story in it as well. So that's why I'm like, I think it's the most digestible. I think No Other Land is going to be like, obviously a really heavy one. And then Will and Harper is the more hopeful one. Yeah, I thought this is pretty hopeful too, I will say.
I agree with you. Are there other because I did, the coup d'etat, I did think thought about that one a lot, about like whether that should be in my 10, where I mean, are there any others that you think people are talking about that we're missing out on? As I mentioned, documentary tends to be like my week. I have Dahomey in there because I feel like if you're the kind of film that's contending for both foreign language and doc, like that usually tends to play very well. Are we missing anything here, you think?
Girl State, I heard excellent things about, but if I remember correctly, I think Boy State also missed.
It did.
Yeah. Did we mention The Remarkable Life of a Villain? That's
no,
also on Netflix.
And I've
heard pretty great things about it.
I looked at the synopsis and I was like, doesn't.
Me too. I was also like, I heard it's great, but like,
yeah, I have to. I mean, I also like, I have to think about like how much the political, like, I think like Will and Harper is very much going to benefit, or even like a movie like Union about the unionization of Amazon. Like, I feel like given the moment that we're in, like these kinds of movies, like No Other Land, like probably are going to be more top of mind for people than other. Yeah.
It's tricky. It could be, and then Daughters is straight up apolitical and very like, well, it's to an extent, and it still has that hopeful vibe to it. It's an excellent documentary. I can't recommend it enough. I don't know. Documentary is always a wild card. I know there's going to be some people who are yelling at me going, no, you got to snub the front runner. And I'm like, it's too early in the year to make a call like that. I'm not going to predict a snub because they're strong.
I think the list we have is a good list of like the consensus right now. And we just have to wait and see. I think we did good. Dahomey, though. Yeah, I think that screener showed up in my inbox today, so maybe that's a sign, and be like, you have to watch this movie. So next up we have best editing. So again, I feel like you're gonna just tell me I'm insane about all of these, but I'm putting myself out there, Adriano. I feel like you should appreciate how vulnerable I'm being with these predictions. Okay, so I have Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Nora, Conclave, The Brutalist. So those are my 5. And then I have Emilia Perez, A Complete Unknown, Wicked, A Real Pain, and The Substance.
Okay. I got Dune Part 2 at number 1. I got Nora at number 2. I got The Brutalist at number 3. Conclave at number 4. Sing Sing at number 5. And then number 6, I got Saturday Night. Emilia Perez at number 7. Wicked at 8. The Substance at 9. And Nickel Boys at 10, which should get in for sure. But god dang it, they might not.
Okay, so let's just talk about so Gladiator 2, like I'm guessing you don't have like tech wise. So now that we're getting into the tech categories, you're just not big on Gladiator 2 in general? You just don't like where are we feeling about Gladiator 2? Because I feel like I have it all over the place.
I'm gonna
And now
mention Gladiator.
I'm
Go from time to
questioning
time.
I'm questioning everything now.
I mean, the movie is in like the 70s on Rotten Tomatoes, and for like an action blockbuster, that's not ideal for like a Best Picture contender. And it's like in the 60s on Metacritic, the reviews aren't glowing. It's never going to be number one at the box office because of Wicked. Like, I think that a lot of things are just going to halt Gladiator. There are some texts that like I will mention, like for sure, including nominations. I just think there are some that I'm like, editing. If it's not a picture, I just can't imagine it.
All right, I'll do cinematography. Again, I have Gladiator. Let me just okay, as a caveat for this entire podcast, by the time this podcast comes out and you recheck my predictions, Gladiator is either not going to be on there or going to be much lower than what they are on this podcast. And it's all because of you. So if I get them all wrong, it's your fault. Okay. So
I'll take it.
for cinematography, I have Dune Part 2 in my number 1 slot. I have Gladiator 2, The Brutalist, Conclave, Nosferatu, Honora, Blitz, Challengers, A Complete Unknown, and Amelia Perez in my number 10 slot.
Did you mention Maria?
I did not, and this is going to be, I need to change this because
yeah, shoot that one up in there. It's pretty spectacular.
And oh my gosh, his name.
The movie's not great, but like the cinematography, Ed Lockman,
who was nominated last year for
El Conde.
for El Conde. So yeah, he would honestly like and I'm gonna redo mine, but he would probably be my number 2. Like real talk, my number 2, because I actually think he's a very, very strong contender. Or maybe The Brutalist is my number 2 and he's my number 3. But like he's either 2 or 3.
Well, I can tell you where I have him. So I got Dune Part 2 at number 1. I got The Brutalist at number 2. I got Nickel Boys at number 3. Stunning cinematography. Number 4, I got Maria. You know, the movie's not amazing, but the cinematography is just absolutely just spectacular. Like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I have Conclave at number 5, and I'm not feeling great about that, though. I got The Girl with the Needle at number 6. Sing Sing at number 7. Nosferatu at number 8. Saturday Night at number 9. And I'll go with Nora at number 10. Yeah, I didn't think the cinematography in Gladiator was pretty good. It was not very good, I can't lie.
So I have a question, and I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but Mukdeeprum from Challengers. Do you know how to say that?
Give me 1 second. Let me just. I need to see the name.
Yeah, because he also the reason why because he also so he was the cinematographer behind Queer. He did Challengers and he did Trap. So he has had three big movies this year, and that's why I have him at my number 8. Just because I feel like if you've done 3 big titles, like you have to be somewhere in the conversation. I'm assuming
it's not a bad case. I see it. I think that the cinematography in Challengers, while very good, is pretty slight. I think actually the cinematography in Queer is pretty showy. Yeah, I might take that one more seriously. You have a good point about sorry, I gotta look at his name again. Sayambu Muktaprom's
Mukhtaprom, there you go.
Yeah, 3 works in 1 year. Like good works too. It's not a bad call. I feel like none of them really stand out as really big except for maybe Queer, which again I think is being rejected.
No, Ed Lockman, he needs to be put in my ranking. Like I said, probably by the time this comes out, he's going to be in my ranking. So for visual effects, I have Dune Part 2, again Gladiator 2, Wicked, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, Godzilla X Kong, A New Empire, Mufasa, The Lion King, Alien Romulus, Beetlejuice, And at number 10, I have Better Man, which is the Robbie Williams
movie.
monkey. Yeah.
Yeah, another mid-ass, boring musical biopic, but he's a monkey this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to rewatch. It's fine. It's solid. The Better Man. It's whatever. But the monkey VFX are really good. Visual effects. Actually, we have the same 5. Just order aside. I have Dune Part 2. I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I have Gladiator 2. I have Wicked, despite the CGI being not the best. And then I have Furiosa. Number 6, I have Better Man. Number 7, I have Mufasa, even though the CGI looks awful and that movie looks unwatchable. 8, I got Alien Romulus. 9, I got Nosferatu. And 10, I got Deadpool and Wolverine.
I am struggling with what to do with Nosferatu. I have it in a few places, but I don't know, like, where do you think that movie is going to go? I have no idea.
I think picture-wise, not a chance. I think
yeah.
It's another Robert Eggers movie, which, hey, let's go. I'm so excited to see it. But that doesn't lend itself to, like, broad appeal for better and for worse. I think tech-wise, you can consider it. Right now, I have it getting nothing, which could be a mistake. I don't see it for another couple weeks. It's hard to tell, it's certain categories, maybe production design, it could happen, with some slots open, maybe makeup. I heard what they do to Bill Skarsgård is kind of insane. I don't know, and that's for others, kind of a question mark in terms of text. For now, I'm going to keep it a goose egg. Maybe I'll watch it and change my mind.
Yeah, because I remember, like, when The Northman came out, I was like, that's going to be all over the text, and then it was goose egg. So now I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have it in a couple of slots, but that's another one of those movies that I'm like, it could go either way. I really have no idea. Okay, so for best original score, I have The Brutalist. I think Daniel Blumberg. I feel very confident about that.
I think
especially having re-seen it, like when you really like it hits you. I don't know. I love that score.
That
I think
score,
it's great.
Like that overture, like immediately I was doing the leaning forward meme. Like I was like, oh my god, what am I in for?
It's so good. It's so good. So I have Amelia Perez at number 2. I have Hans Zimmer for Blitz at number 3. I may come to regret that, but it's Hans Zimmer. So, and then I have Harry Gregson Williams for Gladiator 2. Again, probably gonna come to regret that you're gonna talk me out of that one. I can already tell. I think, especially on your
score is very forgettable. Like forgettable.
I have Chris Bowers for The Wild Robot. Probably gonna talk myself out. I just love Chris Bowers. I think he's brilliant.
No, that one's fair. That one's fair.
And then I have Reznor and Ross for Challengers at number 6. That's probably my personal favorite score of the year. Like, I love that score.
Excellent score.
I have Conclave for number 7, which we should mention. Is it Bertelman?
Vocal Bertelman.
Yes, he won for All Quiet. So a recent Oscar winner, and we know they love their recent Oscar winners. And then we have Alberto Iglesias for The Room Next Door, John Baptiste for Saturday Night, which I need to move up. Probably sub out the Gladiator 2 pick for John Baptiste, just because John Baptiste is a beloved figure, as he should be. Absolute genius.
Absolute genius. Oh
and then for number 10, I have Alexander Desplat for The Piano Lesson, because it's Desplat, and I actually really like that score. I think it's great.
Hey, I actually remember liking that score quite a bit, but I think Piano Lesson is just like very much just Danielle. And want to have The Brutalist. I mean, like it deserves to win. It's spectacular. Conclave at number 2. I got Saturday Night at number 3. I do have Dune at number 4. I know there's some questions about its eligibility. I decided, like, if it's eligible, it's getting in. So I'm keeping it in until Academy rules it out. Number 5, I have Amelia Perez, which I think is more stumbable than people are letting on. Number 6, I have The Wild Robot. I do believe in it. I just, again, Survivors can pull it off. Boy in the Heron can pull it off. Pinocchio can pull it off. I don't see why this is. Challengers at number 7. Sing Sing at number 8. I decided to go with Nosferatu at number 9. And number 10, I am going with Blitz, even though I didn't like the score. But shout out to Nickel Boys because it has an excellent score.
So, what number do you have Saturday Night?
3.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
actually,
like solid on that one.
yeah, even if, because I have stated in any other year I would have thrown Saturday Night out by now, except for in score. I think Batiste is very respected. That score is excellent. It's very catchy. It's very memorable, and also like the stories of how they recorded. Like apparently, so I was watching the Academy conversation yesterday for the Saturday Night with Reitman, LaBelle, the production design. I think Lamar Morris is there, and Reitman was talking about how like everyone would stay after shooting was done. The editor would get like all right, here's a rough cut of the scene we just shot on his laptop, and Jean Baptiste would watch it and be like, okay, all right, do this, and then that's how they recorded the score, which is like, considering how it turned out, absolutely remarkable. I have, say what you want about my Saturday Night confidence. I'm not moving off a score. Like that seems really set in stone for me.
So, do you think there's a scenario where Saturday Night gets score and nothing else? Or do you
Yes.
think it has to get screenplay for it to be a score?
My instinct would say if it gets score, it would also get screenplay. But to answer your question, yeah, I think it could get score and nothing else.
All right. All right, let's move on to Best Original Song, which I'm really like unsure about pretty much all of these. So in number 1, I have Mi Camino from Amelia Perez. I have Forbidden Road from Better Man at number 2, just because it's Robbie Williams, and I feel like it's Robbie. It's Robbie Williams. And then I have El Mal from Amelia Perez. So I have 2 Amelia Perez songs in my number 5, in my top 5. And then I have Kiss the Sky from The Wild Robot in at number 4. I have Harper and Will Go West, which is co-written by Kristen Wiig from Will and Harper. At number 6, I have The Journey by Diane Warren, because it's by Diane Warren, and that's like all you need to know.
Yeah, my hands are tied.
Number 7, I have Winter Coat by Nicholas Britell and Steve McQueen. Also Tara Stinson from Blitz. All you need to tell me is Nicholas Britell, and he's automatically going to be in my top 10 predictions for anything. So that explains that. At number 8, I have Piece by Piece by Pharrell Williams. Number 9, I have Like a Bird from Sing Sing. And number 10, I have Beyond from Moana 2.
Yeah, interesting. I had the Piece by Piece song in my top 10 until I listened to it. And then I was like, oh, no way. There was something else you mentioned that I don't. Oh yeah, the Blitz song. I had it in my 5, and then similarly, and then I heard the song, and I was like, that's really slight. It's a really slight song. It's like a song that Saoirse Ronan sings in front of like a union workers, and then like very early on, and her singing voice is absolutely stunning. But maybe it's my Blitz bias.
I don't think they care. I think if it's a name they recognize, they're going to nominate them, hence the Diane Warren thing. Like, I just feel like they don't care.
Well, there's someone else in my 5 that kind of checks that box too that you didn't mention. So I can talk about my 10.
Hit me.
Number 1. No. Number 1, I have Mi Camino from Amelia Perez. Number 2, I have El Mal from Amelia Perez, which honestly is kind of a banger. Say what you want about the movie. That song kind of hits.
That's my favorite song from the movie. I think that's the song that should win.
It should win. I think they're going to go with Mi Camino, which isn't a bad song either. It's just, El Mal's better. I have The Journey from the 688, Diane Warren. My hands are tied. And before I got Like a Bird from Sing Sing, excellent song. And number 5, again, Never Too Late from Elton John, Never Too Late. It's a song about Elton John. And it's a really good song, too.
Oh, that's a great... I'm stealing that pick. I'm going to tell you right
Number 6, I got Beyond from Moana 2. I got Forbidden Road from Better Man at number 7. Harper and Will Go West from Will and Harper. I don't know what the song is going to be, but I just wrote TBD for our Mufasa. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Worth considering. And then I guarantee people have it higher, but I have Kiss the Sky at number 10 because I think that song is utter garbage.
Well, they also don't like songs that play only over the credits. Like, that's like a big thing that
Wasn't it in the movie?
Was it? I feel like it was just over the credits, but I could be wrong. But I know, like, they like when the song is integrated into the plot of the film. So
yeah, but it sounds like a Disney Channel song, that movie, like that song. I just listened to it. I'm just like I remember watching it at TIFF, listening to the song like in the movie, being like, oh, it's a good song. And then I listened to it like out of context. I was like, oh, really? This song?
Well, were you at the TIFF premiere where they like brought out Maren Morris and they brought out, I think, one of the other, like they brought out the song. So I was like, okay, like maybe they're really pushing this song. And then I heard the song and I was like, that's the song. Like I was just expecting more. Like when you bring out your song, people, I don't know.
Yeah, they want the nomination. It's just
they
whether
want the
get
nomination. It. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Ain't No Love in Oklahoma from Twisters. You're not happening, but you're a great song.
That I didn't even realize that was an original song, but
oh yeah.
Nice. Okay, so costume design is a fascinating category this year because there are so many Oscar like bigwigs that come back. So I have Wicked, I have Dune Part 2, Never Bet Against Jacqueline West, Gladiator 2, same thing as it Janty Yates, but she's a big Oscar, like lots of nominations, etc. I have Nosferatu for a similar reason, Linda Muir, much beloved. I have Jacqueline Duran for Blitz, just because she is, again,
that's
like,
a name, yeah.
A name, nominations, wins, etc. And then I'm like really struggling because like for Maria, is it Massimo Cantini Perini? Multiple nominations, I think. He may even be a previous winner, I'm not sure. But like that's a name, and the costumes in Maria are incredible. And then you have like Colleen Atwood doing the costumes for Beetlejuice, so you can never count her out. Jenny Bevan could potentially come back for Furiosa. Adrienne Phillips for A Complete Unknown. Again, a huge name there. And then The Substance. Like, I was very impressed by the costumes in The Substance. I think they're very much like a part of the story. I would argue that Demi in her yellow coat has now reached like icon status. Like there was like
has, yeah.
There was like, the yellow coat out on Halloween type situation.
Yeah.
So those are my 10.
All right. Number 1, I got Wicked. Number 2, I got Dune. Number 3, I do have Gladiator. Costumes are really good. Number 4, I got Beetlejuice. Number 5, I'm going with The Brutalist. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's not really that memorable, but like it's good enough and the movie's gonna be huge, so I went with The Brutalist. Number 6, I got Maria. 7, Blitz. 8, Furiosa. Should happen. 9, Saturday Night. 10, Nosferatu. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. So yeah. I thought about The Brutalist and costumes. They just didn't pop to me. Spoiler alert, I do have The Brutalist in production design. So for production design, I also have Wicked. So I have Wicked for both costumes and production design.
Yeah.
I have Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, The Brutalist, just because I think the production design is such a huge part of that film. I do have Conclave for production design, and I will say I'll be very disappointed if it misses, because I think the production design is so deserving for Conclave. Like they literally rebuilt like parts of the Sistine Chapel or whatever, and like the production design is such a big part of that film. And then I have Blitz, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, Saturday Night, and Maria.
Our tens aren't, our fives, I think, are the exact same. Yeah, Wicked at number 1, Dune at number 2, The Brutalist at number 3, Gladiator at number 4, and then Conclave at 5. Like you said, The Brutalist is like
Yeah.
about like Adrian Brody's playing an architect, like, and it was about like constructing this like rec center. It's that's gonna happen pretty easily. Yeah, and then Conclave, I'm like pretty confident it's missing costumes just because like I don't know, the costumes in Conclave are just exactly what you think it'd be, and I think that's an issue.
Right, yeah.
Whereas the
I
production
agree.
design is like a little more like, all right, they clearly built it on a soundstage and stuff like that. Number 6, I have Blitz. The production is actually really good in that movie. Number 7, Beetlejuice. 8, Amelia Perez. 9, Saturday Night, and 10, The Substance.
So let me ask you this: of our sort of bottom, what do you think could potentially like be a spoiler? Because I could see a world where like Amelia Perez could come in. I could see. I mean, Saturday Night, like they literally rebuilt all of that. So like
Right.
that is huge production design wise. Like, do you think?
I think the two you said, Amelia Perez and Saturday Night and Blitz, kind of go down the same thing, where it's like once you find out that they're on sound stages, it's like kind of insane. Like the fact that like even the outdoor scenes in Amelia Perez are like sound stages. It's like that's kind of impressive. Yeah, they can definitely like throw a wrench at Conclave if they feel like it. But I don't know. I look at my 5 and I'm like, oh, that looks good to me. Like Gladiator is clearly like the non-picture player, but they rebuilt the Coliseum. Like that's like a little hard to deny there.
No, that 5 feels like pretty solid. A solid of a 5 that I feel like that we've discussed so far. Yeah. So for makeup and hairstyling, again, this category I think is like one of the most fun ones, just because we have so many like weird movies this year that could break in. So I have Dune Part 2, Wicked, Nosferatu, my personal winner, which would be The Substance. I have A Different Man at number 5, which you could easily talk me out of if you wanted to. I have Furiosa at number 6, Long Legs at number 7, Beetlejuice at number 8, which I should mention won the Oscar for the original many, many years ago. The Gladiator 2 at number 9, and Amelia Perez at number 10.
Our 10s are pretty similar, but there's a big one you're missing, in my opinion. So, at number 1, I have, in my opinion, I think the winner of makeup and hair will be The Substance.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's kind of undeniable work.
Yeah.
They've gone with The Fly. So, like, I think they can go with this one again. I have Beetlejuice at number 2. Dune at 3. The big one you're missing, in my opinion, is Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh, yeah. No, I
that's
agree.
Crazy work that they did. And number 5, I said, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but do you think that that's too small of a movie to get? Because like The Substance is a small movie, but there's a lot of like. Do you think Sasquatch Sunset is just too small?
It's very possible that it's too small. It is very possible, but I feel like we said that about Golda last year.
Yeah.
And then like it's just like, well, when it comes to these bake-off categories, being small isn't like you don't have to be big.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it makes the bake-off and if it has a good presentation, I think that's enough to get in. Like if they're able to show people really what they were able to pull off, then I think that that's enough to get it across the finish board. Oh, continue.
Number 5, I went with The Apprentice.
Oh.
6, I went with Nosferatu. 7, I'm going with A Different Man, which I was close to putting in, but I think like in any other year it would be a shoe-in. But like there's a lot of those like big makeup movies this year. I got Amelia Perez at 8, Furiosa at 9, and then I got Wicked at 10, which is interesting because I feel like in any other year I'd be like, oh, Wicked's so strong it's getting into makeup, but this year I'm like, she's just green. Like they turned Sebastian Stan into Donald Trump and a disfigured man, potato. And then like, Sasquatch Sunset, the full body Sasquatch suits, Substance turning Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley into a monster, like, a lot going on there. And then Cynthia Erivo's just kind of green.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I need to find a place for Sasquatch Sunset for sure.
Yeah, a couple of things like in like any other year, I'd probably say they get long listed. I think Lisa Frankenstein has a shot of getting the short list.
Mm.
I think like French things like Complete Unknown, Maria, or Saturday Night, like any of the year make the short list, but this year will get bumped out. Long Legs, like you mentioned, Alien Romulus, perhaps. You'll notice we both didn't say anything about Joker yet, which is the correct move because there's no way that movie's
No.
getting even looked at this year. Too much like vitriol, rightfully so. The movie's awful.
What was the thing that you mentioned before Joker Part 2 that I was like, yeah,
Alien.
Alien. Yeah, I mean, because I think I have that maybe like in my visual effects top 10, but I could see that cracking makeup as well.
I got
I
my
mean, that's
visual
not a
effects top
bad
10.
call. Yeah.
I think again, makeup's too strong for it to get shortlisted, but it's a possibility.
Okay, so speaking of a category where I took a couple of I guess I didn't take that many big swings. But for sound, I have Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Blitz, just because I've heard, like, I feel like
Yeah.
even people who have told me they don't like Blitz, like, will not shut up about the sound. And then I have Amelia Perez and Wicked as my number 5. But I feel so strongly about, like, any of these other nominees. So at number 6, I have The Brutalist, which I feel like the sound in The Brutalist is phenomenal.
Excellent.
I feel like Civil War makes so much sense as a movie that
Yeah.
is like the sole sound nominee type of a film. Like I can
Yeah.
completely see that happening. I have Furiosa, A Complete Unknown, and then I have A Quiet Place Day One, just because the
Makes sense.
original Quiet Place, did well here. So, what does your sound category look like?
I got Dune, the number 1, of course. I got Wicked at 2. The sound actually stood out to me, and I liked it a lot. Amelia Perez at number 3. I got Furiosa at number 4, and no one can talk me out of that. The movie is literally guns and explosions and car engines for 2 hours. I'm predicting it. And then number 5, I got Saturday Night.
Interesting.
Yeah, I watched that movie on a Dolby screen, and I was like, I'm putting it in. After I saw Gladiator, I was like, I'm putting Saturday Night in. Like, with like the bricks and like the things smashing and the constant overlapping dialogue. I'm like, yeah, that's a sound branch wet dream. Number 6, I do have Gladiator. 7, I have Blitz. I thought the sound work was obnoxious, but I see why it would get in. I got The Complete Unknown at 8, The Brutalist at 9, and The Substance at 10. Yeah, Complete Unknown is like interesting because it's like, does it need picture? I've been wondering to myself, does it need picture? Maybe not, because music and like the whole Bob's going electric kind of thing.
But I feel like there's enough people that may potentially put that at number 1 for it to get in.
Yeah, that's sticky. Yeah, no, honestly, for that last slot, it could go like my 5 to 9 are interchangeable.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw, and I maybe it was Will Mavity. I don't remember who it was that made this argument, but they were saying like if this was a year where they only had 8, this would be a year where we would only have 8. Like it feels like that 9-10 slot is like very weak, and a lot of things are just being shoehorned in there, and like maybe there's like not that many movies where there's a lot of passion about.
Yeah, I mean, like you could throw like if you really wanted to throw in Nosferatu or Alien Romulus, you could. It's just, and even Nickel Boys, I think, deserves a sound nomination. But it's I think the sound. This category is very top heavy.
Yeah, I think in general, just in terms of the movies we've talked about, like there's a lot of question marks for me. Like I'm like I don't know how well The Substance is gonna do. Could go either way. Don't know how well Nosferatu is gonna do in terms of tech. Furiosa could go either way. Like either they could just be like came and went. Saturday Night, to your point, there's a lot of categories where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, or they could just completely forget about it. I don't know how strong the Jason Reitman goodwill is, or even I don't know. What else? Like Gladiator 2, to your point, there's a lot of text where I could see it being like number 6, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's still a lot of like I feel like it's interesting because I feel like we're pretty early and we've kind of coalesced around like you notice like there's not that many titles that we like we're kind of all talking about the same movies in different orders, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Makeup's the
interesting.
only category with like a lot of
Yeah.
variety.
So does that mean that we have blind spots or does that mean that things have come together rather quickly here?
I think the year is just not shaping up as like last year where it's just like so many interesting titles, and then this year, yeah, it feels very top heavy. You know, like like obviously Dune, The Brutalists, and Emilia Perez are gonna like show up almost everywhere. Then like you'll get us, and you'll get a Nora or a Wicked sprinkled in there.
Yeah, but I mean, to my earlier, even Emilia Perez, I'm like, I don't know. I could see that potentially falling off in a lot of ways. I don't know. Or it could get, the multiple song nominations, the multiple supporting actress nominations. It could pick up production, costumes. Like the costumes in Emilia Perez are actually really good. I have no idea. All right. So to wrap, first of all, tell people where they can find you on the web, because you have a lot of hot takes and people should be exposed to them because they are a delight.
I'll take that. So yeah, I'm on Bite Size. I'm on YouTube and Twitter. I'm on at Adriano Caporusso, and then on Blue Sky. This is new. Let me just find out. Let me just remind myself what my at is. It's Adriano Caporusso on Blue Sky as well. Yeah, it's I'm on there, a decent amount. I talk about like the stuff we talked about today a lot.
Yeah, I too have downloaded Blue Sky. I have not gone on there very much. I'm like slowly starting to add in, get people. And I should mention In Session Film is also on Blue Sky. I think it's just at Shadan Larkey and In Session Film. Like same thing on Twitter, is just on Blue Sky. So follow us there, rate and review the podcast, do all that good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Last question for you. I'll put you on I have 2 questions for you. Name one maybe Oscar contender or just something that you have seen that you feel like more people should see.
I think more people should see All Be Imagined as Light. I think that movie's Oscar chances have sadly come and gone, but I think that movie is absolutely excellent, and it's that kind of life-affirming film that everyone should try and catch.
Nice. I agree. This is a really good movie.
I loved it.
Okay, what is your one Oscar prediction that you're like really putting yourself out there and like hope dicting?
I try not to hope dict. Honestly, I know people are gonna look at my Saturday Night confidence and say it's that, but I'm genuinely like, I think it's just gonna happen.
The logic is sound.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick a hope dict that I think I'm doing, I think Challengers and Screenplay might be the closest, because I feel like maybe logic supports Seed of the Sacred Fig better, but I maybe almost in my heart a little bit on that one with Challengers. But I feel like that.
In Screenplay.
In Screenplay, yeah, I should have mentioned,
yeah. Man, I mean, if Challenger shows up anywhere, that would be a great Oscar morning for me. If that movie shows up anywhere, yeah. And then what movie should people? I mean, I really liked Hitman. Like, I want more people. I mean, I know people saw that, but I mean, I love Thelma. Like, I'm on the June Squibb for Thelma train. I know she's not getting in, but I just feel like that's such a great movie, and like talk about a movie that's a pure delight,
just pure joy.
I really liked A Quiet Place Day One. I know no one talks about that movie anymore, but that's one of my favorite movies from earlier in the year. I really liked Monkey Man. I feel like this is a strong directorial debut from Dev Patel. I feel like there's a lot of, and you know what movie I will mention? It's on Hulu, The Beast.
I gotta check that out.
A phenomenal movie. George Mackay and Oh my god, I'm blanking. She was in Dune Part 2.
Lea
the
Seydoux.
French. Yeah, Lea Seydoux. Just great movie. And if there was any justice in the world, would be like contending for everything right now. But so check out The Beast, check out Thelma, check out some of the earlier gems from earlier in the year. Adriano, thank you so much for being my guest for this mega-sized podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Any final thoughts as we say goodbye to the masses?
Catch Nickel Boys when it comes out. Give it a chance, and you'll be happy.
Yeah. What a great note to end on. We will catch you guys on the next one.